There's a new season approaching, so we can expect a large influx of players playing Dark and Darker again. It's a hard game. Majority of the core player base has been playing for over a year at this point, so I thought I'd share some tips that both new and experienced players might find helpful. Let's get into it. Whether you like it or not, bunnyhopping is in the game. When performing an action that would otherwise slow you down, you can jump to maintain your movement speed, and then keep jumping on the frame when you land to keep maintaining your movement speed. It's unintended, SDF has said it will be removed at some point, but equally, they did literally showcase it in the Season 4 trailer. You can hit it consistently if you set your secondary key binding for jump to your scroll wheel. Personally, I don't really mind it. No, it's not intended, but neither was wave dashing in Smash Melee, and that seems to be celebrated there. Again, this is unintended, but until it's fixed, it's something you can use to your advantage. Blocking in this game is sketchy at best. Weapons with a stab can clip through your shield and hit you still, so relying on blocking is inherently risky even if you're a block god. The infrastructure of the game works to favour attackers. That means if you attack someone and hit them on your screen, the attack will register, even if on their screen they dodged or blocked at the last millisecond. Desync blocking is when you drop your shield and start attacking, but on their screen your shield is still raised and the attack gets blocked. They get locked in the impact animation and you're free to start attacking without being trapped in the block animation. This is quite hard to reliably execute in a fight, so my advice is to hold your shield up for a second and just start swinging. Check this clip where a rogue pretends to be friendly at troll and I get a desync block that wins me the fight. This can be extended to using any piece of the environment to your advantage, such as torches for cover, etc. If your opponent is using a weapon with a swing, like any two-hander or a falchion or even arming sword, fighting them in a doorway puts you at a massive advantage. The likelihood of them hitting their weapon against the doorframe is high, and the angle at which they can swing at you is limited. For example, check this clip where I win a fight against a barb purely because I kite him into a doorway and held him at it. He has to be careful with where he's swinging, whereas I have a dagger and can basically do what I want in the door. My subscribers, please subscribe, will have already heard me say multiple times that luck does nothing. It's only useful for farming keys from skelly champs and bosses, or getting quest items that are uncommon graded or higher. The extra stats that help you in combat are always more useful, unless you're specifically going for 300 plus luck and bossing. So in Dark and Darker, each stat, dex, knowledge, etc. has certain breakpoints. This is worth a whole video on its own, so I won't go into too much detail, but check out the wiki if you're interested in your own relevant stats. For example, if we take dex, dex as an attribute gives you two stats: manual dexterity, aka how fast a bard plays songs, and action speed, or attack speed. You can see on the graph, you get serious diminishing returns for song speed after 37 dex, and the action speed curve starts to flatten over 41 dex. So the sweet spot for dex on bard is about 40, but for rogue it's a bit higher because they only care about action speed. Plus they have more dex baked into the class, so they could go up to 50 without losing other stats more optimally. Health is king. Health is pretty much the best stat on every class. That is going to be even more true this season. At the moment, solos are crawling with PDR fighters, and they're strong because there's not much magic damage in the game. At the start of this season, everyone will be going sorcerer, so the value in building PDR is going to be a lot less. Building magic resist is quite hard, as you have to sacrifice a lot of other stats, but health is always going to be good against both magic damage and physical damage. This whole season, gear with health on it has been really expensive, and I think that will still be the case next season. I also think magic resist gear will go up in price to combat how everyone has rolled a sorcerer. This game causes people's prefrontal cortex to shut down. There are times to run, there are times to push, and there are times to say fuck it, I'm probably gonna die, so let's just try. Take this clip for example. I'm fighting a ranger, he misses his triple shot so I push him. He does well to kite me back to a narrow corridor and hold me where I have a survival bow, which is short range, and he has a recurve bow, which is mid range. He hits me twice, I'm forced to heal and then rebuff. Here he should push me, but instead he lets me heal back to full and then lets me push him. I hit my shots, he misses his. He has a spear and backstep. I have an arming sword and buckler. Right here. He should pull out his spear and just try jabbing me whilst backstepping my swings. Instead, he decides to keep running, so I hit 3 shots on him and kill him. I'm not saying if he committed he would have won. I'm saying if you look at it like percentage of survival, trying to outplay me with his spear was his best shot. In his mind, he's clearly panicking, and he's trying to get out, and that gives me a nice easy kill. You could easily put this down to the fact I hit my shots and he missed his, but he did hit some shots. He gave himself an opportunity which he didn't commit to. For this point, I'm going to talk through a game. I'm running a decent kit with jolly time, so drinking ale heals me and gives me move speed. A really well geared judgment cleric tries to rush me and I kill him with no problem. After looting, I try and find out which direction he came from, so I can get a good idea which direction other players will be. I realise the cleric must have spawned somewhere else because there's a trail going towards middle and the door is blown off, which means I'm probably following a barbarian, but it could be a warlock. They're the only 2 classes that would blow up a door like that outside the context of a fight, and I know there probably wasn't a fight here because I was already in a fight with someone early in this part of the map. I'm thinking, I'm safe from getting flanked for now, as I know one player from my corner of the map is dead and another is definitely in front of me. So I keep following the trail. I see a corpse on the floor that's been stripped and a druid. There's probably between 7 and 11 players who spawned in, and including myself, 4 are accounted for. Me, the cleric I killed, someone who is now a corpse, and this druid. While I'm killing this druid, I hear another druid to my left, so that's 5. Then I see a fighter, that's 6. I assume the other druid either got killed by this fighter or ran away, so I'm safe to just kite this back. I'm missing shots and he's pushing me back, but I'm not really worried, as with jolly time I'll easily out sustain and I'll be able to kite, and then I get third partied by a rogue. Is there any learning to take away from this? I knew there was at least one more person in the dungeon. I should have known I'd walked through half the map and under half of the players were accounted for at that time. Ultimately, that's the logic I use, and in general it works. Dark and Darker is, at its base, a game about risk assessment and probabilities. Sometimes the risks don't pay off. Gear fear is real, and is probably the leading cause of prefrontal cortex shutdown in players. The only way to get used to that is by playing against people wearing gear. But running gear is expensive, and newer players don't have access to that much gold. That's why I suggest running off-meta pieces. For example, I spent a little while running flanged mace, round shield and buckle boots on fighter. Using those pieces drastically reduces the cost of your loadout. And sure, you might not win as many fights, but the combat experience is worth it from getting 5 2k kits out of 10k, rather than 1 10k kit. Dark and Darker with gear versus without is a very different game. If you're only used to squire kits, you'll have no idea what to do when a max move speed rogue runs you down with throwing knives. Dark and Darker is a very punishing game. There's always something you could have done differently. Yes, gear gives you a statistical advantage, but let's be realistic. The players who are running lots of gold into kits are probably getting that gold because they're good players who are killing people and bossing frequently. I use Outplayed to record my games. It's an Overwolf application, but there's lots of ways to record your games. So there it is, 10 tips to help you improve at Dark and Darker. I tried to give more in-depth tips other than usual blue potions, but that is one worth repeating, so there's 11. I'm trying to get to 250 subscribers so I can apply for Iron Mace's new content creator drive platform thing, and I'm nearly there, so it really would mean a lot if you could like and more importantly, subscribe. Thank you for watching and good luck in the new season.